keep it open. Like I'll say, hey, you know, it's not my house. If you hate it, tell me. It's not hurting my feelings.
Right.
You know, I'm here to help you. I'm here to find you guys a house that you love. So if you hate it, when we pull up, tell us and we'll leave.
And then how many do you typically send them at a time, and then how many do you typically show them at a time?
So we will send them, I will send them, it depends on their personality, I'll say. So you have the people that they want to see every home in the market, even though they know that they most likely won't buy any of them. And you typically get a feel for that personality, so you send those kinds of people less homes. Literally, because I always just send them the ones that they love. Now, if it's a client that I could send him 120 homes and he'll look through all of them and say, none of them appeal to me, I'll send him every single house that comes on the market. You know, it's typically like an investor or someone that's just looking for like something very specific. But the people that want to see everything, I send them less. Of course, I send them everything I think they would consider, because sometimes it does take that, like I said, getting out there, looking at homes to really get a feel for what they actually want.
Just had a quick, could you help us understand the timing of it? How much time do you sit down with them to do all this survey? What is that, an hour? Is it 2 hours? What's the timing for that? And then prior to doing maybe your first showing, how long does it take for you to really fine tune these searches to the level that you're so kind of both timing
Yes,
scenarios?
so this meeting typically, I mean, it has taken 30 minutes before, it depends on the client. Typically takes an hour, sometimes an hour and a half, and that's the whole meeting with going through this and getting the consumer notice and buyer agency signed. And then I let them know I'll have homes to them if they're ready to start looking right away within the next 24 hours. I recently hired a showing agent, so I don't know her schedule all the time, so now I just say within 24 hours. When it was just me, I work all the time, so I would like go home and do it right away, because I get excited to send them listings, because, to me it's like, oh, I wonder what's going to be on the market that they like. Sometimes I already know, because I already know their criteria and I know what's on the market in that price range. And if that's the case, I will literally pull up listings on my Trend app on my phone while I'm sitting there with them, like, oh my god, I feel like you guys would love this. Sometimes they're like, oh my gosh, we do, can we go see it right away? And then we go and they write an offer. I never have to send them listings.
Do you try to stay within a certain area, or do you kind of go wherever they want to go?
I do.
Personally.
I'll do within an hour of my office in Exton. So all of Chester County and some of the surrounding counties. But for the clients that are further out, like I would prefer to, for all of my clients, I would prefer to send them a bunch of homes and see a bunch of homes at once. Like the initial sending, I'll send them everything that I think that they'll like, within reason. And then moving forward, it's just anything I learn of that's upcoming. Like I'm constantly reaching out, sending out, in KW Intranet emails saying, hey, I have a buyer looking for this, that like, these are my buyers who has something upcoming. We'll send out flyers to neighborhoods saying, hey, I have a buyer that would love to be in your neighborhood. I'm always looking for something upcoming. And I provide them with that value. I tell them, that I'm willing to do that. And other than that, I'm just, anything new that comes on, I'm checking them MLS multiple times a day, because I always want myself to be sending it to them before they're seeing it online. So if they don't have any more questions, I'll, what days of the week and times of day work best for you for showings. That way I have an idea, and then, a lot of people will say weekends. And I say, okay, so if a new listing comes up today on Monday, or weekends are best for them, say we're meeting on a Sunday, and I say, okay, so if a new listing comes up tomorrow on Monday, it will most likely, if it's a great listing and it's priced well, it will most likely sell by Tuesday. So we'll need to see it Monday night. Is there, can you make that work? Because I want them to know that if they're only available on weekends and a new listing comes up on a Monday or a Tuesday or even a Thursday, and they're not available until Saturday to see it, that house is going to be gone. So what can we do? And I'll say, you know, if Mr. Smith is working evenings and Mrs. Smith is working during the day, I'll say, I'm happy to, you know, show you in the morning and then come back later with you if you love it. So, and then I have this in here for, you kind of get a sense for people that have previously worked with an agent and not had a great experience. They'll usually be kind of upfront with that. So, if I feel the need to ask these questions, I will. You know, have you purchased a home before? Tell me about your past buying experience, and you know, how long did the process take? And was there anything that your previous agent did that you did or did not like? You know, what's very important to you. And then I just go over the consumer notice. I pull it out.
Does anybody have any questions on the asking of the questions? I mean, that seems pretty straightforward, don't you think?
So you just said you do the consumer notice at the end?
After this, yes.
Oh, okay.
Mhm. Yeah, so I pull the consumer notice out, and I say, okay, you know, so this is the consumer notice. It is not a contract. I have to present this to everyone I meet with. It simply says, as a potential buyer or seller, you have the right to be represented by an agent. And then it explains the different types of agency. So a seller's agent is the agent that represents the seller. I am a buyer's agent, so I only work with buyers, which means I will not be representing the seller of any property we look at. I'm strictly here to negotiate on your behalf, to get you the best terms when it comes to both the initial negotiations, price, settlement date, seller assist, inclusions, exclusions, as well as inspections moving forward. And then a dual agent is the agent that represents both the buyer and the seller. I'll say, you know, for some reason it is still legal in Pennsylvania, I'm not sure why. Because if I already have a listing contract signed with the seller to get them the most money for the house, then the buyer is really left unrepresented. And then a designated agent is when you're working with one agent, so I will be your designated buyer's agent. And then a transaction licensee is someone that strictly handles paperwork, that you not do any negotiating. And then I say, you know, and I set that expectation as I'm reading it, and I will be your designated buyer's agent, just very casually. Like, if I make a big deal out of it, they're gonna be like, whoa, you know, but I'm just very casual with it. And then I say, and feel free to read through this. I will make copies of this for you as well, and then if I can just get you the date, print, and sign here. Usually they don't even read through it. It says right at the top, this is not a contract. They'll sign it.
I didn't know if you wanted this up.
Yeah, that's right.
Consumer notice is easy, right? We all are okay with that. Okay.
Yeah, so I just very casually go over that, and while I'm going over it, I say, you know, so I will be your designated buyer agent. Typically, they never even flinch or say anything about it. And then I pull out this is our team's like VIP buyer loyalty agreement. It just makes it a little more laid back. I pull out this right next to the state buyer agency contract. I put them side to side, and I say, okay, and you know, this is the buyer agency contract that just says I'm the buyer, that I'm the agent that's representing you. And this is our team's version, just kind of goes over the specifics of working with our team and the benefits of working with us. And if you're a single agent, you could say, and these are just the benefits of working with me, this is what I do for my clients. So I go over this form, and I go over each bullet point. So I'll assist you in securing the best financing program. You know, I've already had so-and-so contact you. They have great, you know, very competitive rates, but you can certainly use any lender that you want. Feel free to shop around. Moving forward, so we will plug in all of your criteria. I'll start sending you listings. And then I will arrange a private showing of any property you want to see. I let them know right here, this includes anything new construction, so they know that up front, because a lot of people don't realize that you can have an agent for new construction. This sets that expectation. Don't go to a new home site without me, because I won't get paid without saying that. If I feel like they might be considering new construction, I'll say, you know, you certainly want to let me know if you're thinking about new construction, because a lot of times builders will offer incentives, but they won't tell the consumer that, because of course they want to sell the house for as much as they can. So it's really important that you have an agent negotiating for you when it comes to new construction as well. New construction, anything bank-owned and for sale by owner, so they know that I can show them foreclosures, I can show them, you know, any home on the market listed by any brokerage. And then I also let them know if you see a for sale by owner just driving by, or if you see it online and I have not sent it to you, make sure you send it to me. I'll reach out to the homeowner and schedule a showing. Typically, they're willing to pay buyer's agent commission, they just list for sale by owner in order to avoid paying the listing side. Once we find a property, I'll discuss the best strategy for making an offer, as well as financing terms, interest rates, cost to close. Going into it, I will be sending you, you know, if there's a property that I think you really like, I'll send it to you, and I'll let you know, hey, this is what your payment would be, about what your payment would be, this is about how much money you need to buy the house. And I do that up front. I just run quick numbers in my head, like based off of an estimate from a different property from a lender. That way, all they're focusing on is, do I love this house or do I not? And I let them know that going into it, they'll know all these things, so they won't be wondering, again, adding value to them. I will prepare the offer on your behalf, present the offer to negotiate on your favor, and then moving forward, we really walk you through the process. So once you are under contract, Sarah from my office will reach out, or myself, if I'm a single agent, I'll reach out, send you an email, you know, hey, congratulations, you're now under contract, here's a copy of your agreement, your first deposit is now due, this is where it needs to go, this is who you need to write it out to, this is what it needs to be there by, now we need to schedule inspections, these are the inspections we need to schedule, here's a list of the inspectors we recommend, this is their contact information, we really walk you through the process, so you're not going to have to Google home inspectors or stucco inspectors, or whatever it may be, you're never going to feel like you don't know what's going on. We'll always, you know, be sure to stay on top of you. And then, of course, we'll always be here to answer any questions you might have. Is this for that? Do I just go down?
Oh, no, just scroll down. That's for the, oh, here, I think you can. Oh, here it is. There you go.
Oh, thanks. And then I'll say, we do also have 3 bonuses. One is if you purchase a home that's over 15 years old, I will either negotiate into the contract a 1-year home warranty, and if the seller will not provide it, I will provide it for you. This is just so that you know you don't spend $15,000 to buy a new house and 2 days later your hot water heater breaks and you're out of pocket another $1,500. 2, again, not that you're paying me anything, but we do have a cancellation guarantee, which allows you to cancel this agreement at any time if I'm not living up to my promises, if you just can't get a hold of me, if it's not a personality fit, just let me know. You know, I'm not here to trap you, I'm here to help you find a house. And then I'll say, you know, I've never had anyone cancel on me, but we put this in here. And bonus 3 is our targeted house hunting service, so this is when we send out flyers to the neighborhoods and I go over, I explain that, you know, it's great in this market because inventory is generally very low and homes are selling very quickly, so this helps us kind of get ahead of the market. And then I go over this and say, this is just telling me, just saying that you're giving me permission to negotiate my own commission. I haven't done this in 2 years because it's not a buyer's market. So I'm willing to take whatever commission they're willing to give me. If you guys don't get the house, I don't get paid at all. So I'm willing to get paid whatever they're willing to give me. But if it were a buyer's market, I would say, hey, here's my client's offer, and if they're offering 2.5% instead of 3%, I would say, and I would also like 3% commission. So basically just telling them that doesn't apply right now. And then our team's additional commission is $6.95. I just say, and then this is just another closing cost. You'll see it on your estimate. Part of this goes to KW Exton, part of it goes to KW National, and part of it is your conveyancing fee goes to the conveyancing department, which just means that they're making sure the seller is paid up through settlement and you are only responsible moving forward. You know, previously before they had conveyancing, people would move into their new home and they would get an outstanding sewer bill from the township that the previous owner did not pay, and you know, now you're SOL because you're the new homeowner, so you have to pay for it. So that will not happen now. And then I'll say great, and if I could just get you to sign a date here, and then on the buyer agency I'll say identify. This one is just initial, and sign. And again, feel free to read through, I'll make copies of these for you.
So you use this as sort of your text to the buyer agency, and you say this is our document, and this is more the official legal Pennsylvania document or something like that?
Yeah, when I put it out, I just say, this is the buyer agency contract, this is the form that says, I'm the agent you're working with. And this is, we kind of just broke it down in the layman's terms, and our team's version, and the specifics of working with our team. And then I go over this, and I have them sign and date it. And then I say, okay, this one's just an initial and sign.
Would you be willing to share that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, if anybody, I just want to be the legal eagle in the room.
Okay.
If anybody is going to draw up something like this, you want to run it by Alex Coates first. They have had theirs reviewed, so it's fine, but please don't, let's not all make up our own documents.
No, I was thinking,
Yeah,
like,
I just wanna-
I would just use this as
Yeah.
like my talking point, and
Yeah.
then that would be just a future.
Just wanna put that out there.
In terms of that.
Oh, no.
And then still the official document,
Yeah.
yeah. Because I like that better, they get scared when they see contract.
Yeah, yeah, I
And
mean,
it's all
isn't
about
it a
the way
nice
you
buffer?
present it too. If you're scared presenting it, they're going to be scared to
Right.
sign it.
Right.
But when you go into, again, like I said, we're the ones that set the standard.
Right.
So for getting someone in to meet with us at the office, we're setting that standard. So if we're very casual saying like, hey, yeah, let's just go ahead and get together briefly at the office before we see the property, to them, it's no question, it's just kind of like, oh, I guess this is what you do. Because especially if it's a first-time home buyer, they don't know that, they may not have talked to an agent before. Like, you can think that when you're talking to these people, they may have not talked to an agent before that just met them at a property. This could be the very first house they're calling on. They're just finally getting up the courage to say like, hey, I want to go see a house. So be the one to set the standard and say that kind of.
Do you have anything you give them that says like, this is kind of what the process is, or is it really just through this? Like, you'll put an offer in, you'll go through home
Mhm.
inspections, you'll,
Yeah.
whatever.
So we have a folder this is my agent folder, so the documents that we just went over, that's my agent folder, the stuff for me. And then I have like a Keller Williams folder that I give to them, so I make copies of everything they sign, and I put them into that folder that already has a few documents in it. It has some lending information, and it has the home purchasing process in it. So I'll say, and here's the home purchasing process. Today, you have your pre-approval. You selected an agent. Today we analyzed your needs in a buyer consultation, and now we need to, view properties, and then after that, we'll be submitting an offer, and then we start removing the contingencies.
What did you guys think of that? I mean, did anybody, after you heard Leana, would you not see the value in signing the buyer agency contract? Has she demonstrated her value at such a high level?
Yeah. Especially if they've been with other agents that says random houses, and you're like, wow, why didn't I call you first?
Even when, I love when she talks about the home warranty, because, it's kind of bold, plain pain versus pleasure. Well, I wouldn't want you to have this happen, and, buy a house, and, so I'm doing this, and already you're like, wow, this is great. So, does anybody have any questions on that particular portion? Anybody? Mike Spigarelli.
It's big.
Come on, Spigs.
This is what you're doing at the consultation, or is this
Yes.
after you had to go over this questionnaire?
Yeah, so I go over I do it in that exact order. Go over the questionnaire,
The consumer
immediately
notice.
pull out the consumer notice,
And then
and
you
then
go
I
after
pull
that.
out this and the buyer agency side by side.
Kate, I know you've worked with a few buyers, so do you feel that this approach will definitely show your value?
For sure.
Good,
I started doing that, I started making my buyers sign consumer notice to my
Great.
contract after I went out for nothing,
great, well,
because I thought that I had nothing else to do, but I don't think that would anymore.
good job.
And I go right to the, I don't wanna say scare tactic, but you brought it up earlier, like, remember when you call these signs and the agent runs to the house to show you, they're representing the seller. So they do not have your best interest in mind. And anything you say, if you decide to do an offer, they know your history already.
Right.
So I go right to that, like.
The jugular.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
And you
And I
just
like
wanna
the
be
word
careful
shocking,
with that
I'm
too, though.
shocked that,
Sure.
Because you don't wanna scare them away.
Right,
And sometimes if you
yeah.
jump right to that, it can come off as pushy and salesy.
Right.
Yeah.
it should be like more be careful,
Mhm.
but yeah, everybody says better than.
And you have a showing agent, and you have a conversation about, like, how, that they're gonna be showing the house
So
for you?
she's amazing. I don't know how I lucked out so much with her. She has this far been to every buyer consult with me. She's just one of those people that she's not a sitter, so she'll work all day like I would. So she has, you know, made it a point to be there for every single one of them. I know obviously in the spring it'll be much busier and she won't be able to, so yeah. I will certainly be saying, okay, great, you know, and just again, acting like it's not a big deal. Okay, great, so my showing partner, Kathy, you know, I do have a showing partner, one of us will always be available to show you homes. She'll work on a list and she'll have a list of homes over to you in the next 24 hours, so just, you know, let us know if there's anything.
It's setting the expectation, like, let's go back to the doctors or something, and the nurse will be in to take your blood pressure, so you know what to expect. So then they say, oh, okay, that's right, so-and-so's gonna call me. It's just setting the expectation, letting them know the process. So buyer urgency. Paul, I'm gonna have to pick on you again. So Paul has what, a stack about, how high are we now?
Oh, God, he's seen over 100 homes.
Well, so is this the guy that,
He has enough money in the bank, he's got like 40,000 in the bank down, he was pre-approved for like 250. And then whenever we go, I've written 3 offers for him. And then when they come back and countered, he never wanted to counter on any of the other ones.
So one of the things, and what I found Leana amazing with in, when we talked before, and she'll get into this, is, you know, really being able to zone in on the fear/objection, and being able to handle that. And once she gets into that, one of the examples I just want to share was we had people who had written 3 offers. And they were insistent upon putting 20% down because their parents were in their ears saying, you have to, PMI, blah, blah, blah. And our agent, Lisa Bicking, I'm sure you guys know her, she said every time she did the closing cost, they would look down at $88,000 and have a heart attack, which we all would at 25 years old. And Leana right away was able to talk about, okay, well, we could do this, and come up with different options, and it fixed it. So we want to learn how to overcome objectives and how to create urgency. So, go ahead.
So to me, it has been very important. I'm the kind of person that I like to know some about everything, so that I don't feel like I'm freezing when someone's asking me a question. So I've made it a point to get very educated on all the mortgage programs. You know, a lot of people think there's USDA, there's FHA, and there's conventional. Well, there's several. Conventional has tons of programs. So my favorite conventional program is a 10% down program for conventional that offers a ton of different ways to avoid PMI. So a lot of people think, one, that you have to put 20% down in order to buy a house, period. And then when they realize you can put 0% down or 3% down, or and then a lot of people think you have to put 20% down in order to avoid paying PMI. Well, that's not the case at all. There's several programs that will allow you to keep your monthly payment down by avoiding PMI. So with 10% down conventional, you can do upfront mortgage insurance, which is when you literally, and at 10% it's the sweet spot. So if you lump sum, what they do for PMI is they take a percentage. So say you're looking at a house that's $400,000 and they're taking that percentage of mortgage insurance and it equals $6,000. $6,000 is actually less than you would be paying if you were to pay mortgage insurance monthly until you had 20% equity. So if you were to total up the monthly mortgage insurance until you had 20% equity, that would equal more than the $6,000 upfront fee. Now, you can pay that upfront fee if you want, if you have money in the bank, as a closing cost, or you can get the lender to pay it, lender-paid mortgage insurance, or you can take that $6,000 and simply add it on to the base of your loan. So you're buying a house for $400,000, you're putting 10% down, you're financing $360,000. So you're actually going to be financing $366,000. And that $6,000 increase from the 360 that you're financing is going to be $13 a month. Wait, 6,000, no, sorry, like $27 a month versus standard 10% conventional, which will have, you know, your mortgage insurance at $230 a month. So that's keeping your mortgage insurance cost, your monthly payment way down. So I always like to know going into it and be able to talk to them, and I'll even, when I send their I'll get in sometimes pretty deep on the phone setting the appointment with them for the initial appointment. You know, if I feel like they're willing to talk to me more and give me more information, I certainly don't want to be pushy, more pushy than I need to be. My goal is to get them into the office. But, you know, I'll talk about those options with them on the phone, and I'll even, you know, when I have the lender call them, I'll say, I think this would be a great option for them. Because some lenders don't do that. Some lenders don't just think to give you that option. So that's super important. And then I talk about payment all the time because, you know, if I'm writing an offer and I write an offer at $200,000 and they counter at $220,000, and, you know, I'll put into perspective, or they counter at $210,000, I'll put into perspective, okay, so is there a reason you're not willing to either accept this or counter back? Because at $210,000, your payment's going to be $40 more a month. Is that breaking the bank for you? Or, but I start with that in the very beginning. Like I base everything that I'm sending them on the payment they're comfortable with at full price. So I know that they're comfortable with it.
He actually got to the point, you know, it just took forever, even though he can afford a much more of a house, he just wanted to have like a less amount, like a monthly payment of such. So, I mean, it got to the point where I would actually do like a little estimated closing cost on, and show him his monthly payment and everything on every house that I showed him. And if it was above this, you know, this line of how much you wanted to pay a month, I would say, well, John, now that's gonna put you over where you wanted to be, so we probably shouldn't see that one. You know, but it
Or
took-
just don't send it to them. Like I won't
Oh, I
send
know,
my
he'll
clients.
send me stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah,
No,
yeah,
he'll send
well,
me, you
then
know,
that
he'll-
gets difficult, and so,
Yeah, he'll text me, you know, addresses, and I made the mistake of giving him my app.
Yeah.
And now he just drives around and sends me addresses.
Is this the guy that doesn't have any, he's new to the area?
No.
Oh, who's the guy that was new to the area and you were his weekend friend?
I have a whole cluster of them.
What other objections do we have with some buyers? Who else has some buyers that are, anybody, so Leana, when you have these people that just turn everything down, what do you do? I mean, oh, I don't like this, do you just suffer through it?
so I have a client who is so picky that she was actually one of my first clients. I went to school with her. So we started looking like in the beginning of last year, and I have not showed her one home.
Showed her?
Not showed her one home. She is so picky that, and you know, which is fine with me because all I'm doing is sending her listings. But like for instance, I sent her a house that was absolutely perfect 2 days ago. And I didn't hear back, and then yesterday I texted her and said, or she texted me asking about another property, and I was like, no, yeah, that one's under contract. I had sent it to you. She was away for 4 days, and the perfect house came up for them, of course, while they were away. And I sent it to her, and she's like, oh yeah, unfortunately we're out of town until Wednesday. And then she just sent me a text yesterday, like asking that, you know, if it was still available, and I said, no, it's already under contract. And she's like, oh, well, you know, it's still appearing active online. And I was like, yeah, well, that one went quickly. I said, and you know, did you not like the one I sent you yesterday? And she was like, no, I loved it, but the yard was a little small. And now her criteria is like, and I will tell clients this, I'll be like, you have beer money with champagne taste. So, you know, let's figure out what we're gonna do here.
My father used to tell me that all the time.
So, I mean, I'll tell her, cause she'll send me a listing and I'll say, okay, well, you wanna be, and then she told me she was getting a job and that they were bumping their comfort zone. By the way, they have like $80,000 to put down, like total money out of pocket. And she reminds me of that constantly, cause of course she thinks that like, you know, she's God's gift to earth with that kind of money to put down. And they want their payment at $1,400, and then she tells me that she, you know, just got a full-time teaching job, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. Is your comfort zone still gonna be the same for, you know, payment? Or, and she was like, oh no, it will, if I get the job, it'll definitely go up to like 1,700 or 1,800, and I'm like, yes. So I sent her a few properties. Now, we had been looking everything below 300. And then there were a few listings that came up in Malvern that had ridiculously low taxes, like listed at $399 and the taxes were $3,000. So I sent them to her and said, you know, like, hey, I don't let the purchase price scare you. Like, this is where your payment would be. And she was like, oh, well, that's way too high. Like, we definitely want to be around 1,400. And I literally sent her the text that she had sent me 2 weeks ago and said, oh, I'm sorry, like, I thought you had said that you wanted, but if you want to keep it down at 1,400, that's what we'll do, like, just disregard those. But like, I'm like, you just told me this, you know, so.
Do you hear the word that Leana uses over and over again with her clients? Has anybody else picked up on it? Comfort. What are you comfortable with? What, you know, is that out of your comfort zone? Remember that, because when somebody, you know, says, are you comfortable, you're showing that you care. You're showing that you are taking their feelings into consideration. And that is huge in this business. Huge. So, you know, is this out of your comfort zone? And one of the things I always like, you know, how much money are you comfortable putting down? They may have $88,000, but they may feel like they need $50,000 in the bank for a rainy day. So the word comfortable, Leana has used over and over and over again, and I really would love for you guys to adopt that into your presentation, because I really think that it makes the buyers
Comfortable.
Thank you.
Yes, that's the word we're looking for.
Yes, comfort. Okay, so who else has some things that, you know, they've had wacky buyers,
This is a weird one. I have very good friends that we started to work together probably about 6 months ago, and it was one of those things where they really wanted to start looking, but there was one house that I would not be included in, would be excluded from the contract because
Their friend was thinking about selling it privately.
yeah, like a friend of theirs knew it. So we went out, looked at houses, the whole bit, and they kind of just like stopped because I think they really had their mind set on that
Sure.
house. Fast forward to like maybe a week ago, the house just went on the market. Well, they had put an offer on the house, talked to the seller exclusively, never heard back, and this was maybe September.
You never
And
heard
then
back, or
The,
client never heard
my
back from the
buyers
seller?
never heard, they talked to the seller exclusively, which was the plan. Never heard back, and then we just saw it go on the market this past week. So I said to her, well, we'll try to get in, it's a Keller Williams agent, I'll talk to them right away. And now they're like pissed off, like they don't even want to look at it. So is there a way, should I just let it go, or is there a way to convince them that, like, that's all they thought about for 6
What
months?
did they offer when
They offered way below
What
what they're
was that?
asking and what they should have, and I didn't get involved because that was kind of the point.
Sure.
But I wish I did, and I might use that and say, yeah, I would have never offered that low. I think she pissed them off more than
Sure.
anything. So now they're upset, so they don't really want to look at it, but they
Right.
can't stop thinking about it.
So
I'm
I would
kinda
say,
stuck in
you
that.
know, if you guys love this house,
Mhm.
then I certainly think that we should give it another shot.
Right.
And first of all, start with, before you even say anything to them, make sure it's within their comfort zone with payment, total cash out of pocket.
Mhm.
And if it is at full price, or, you know, within 10,000 of full price, whatever, the way you can say it to them is, you know, sometimes, and I'll say this to clients that want to lowball, you know, do a very lowball offer, I'll say, you know, do you want this house? If you don't care, if you have no attachment to this house and you just want to throw an offer out there, whatever, you know, we can certainly do it. It'll most likely be a waste of time, because I'm you know, 99% certain they're not willing to accept that, but it's worth a shot, because I always want them to know that I'm representing their best interest and I'm willing to do it if it's what they want. But I will say, you know, there comes a certain price that it gets offensive.
Right,
And if
I
you
think
want
it
a
was offensive.
response out of these people,
right.
we need to go in at a reasonable offer. Because,
Yeah, my fear too is that if the seller, if we do write an offer and the seller sees it's them, even if it's a good offer, she just may ignore it, I don't know. So that's what
Well-
I'm thinking too, so.
so, the listing agent wants to get the house sold, so I would have a conversation with the listing agent. And I highly doubt that if it's an acceptable offer, the sellers are gonna turn it down because of who it is, because they previously offended them. But, you know, a home purchase, a home sale is a business transaction. It's our job to keep the emotion out of it. That's why it gets messy when buyers work directly with sellers, because, you know, when I used to, before I was actively selling, I've been licensed for 6 years, so I started as administrative positions on our team, just filling in, and then, thank you, and then was a listing marketing coordinator, I was a transaction manager, and then I was our team's ISA, so I was calling and setting appointments. And I would always tell for sale by owner people, you know, if the emotion's going to be kept into it, because if a buyer comes to your house, a lot of times for sale by owners want to stay there, especially if the buyer's unrepresented, because they don't want just the stranger roaming through their house on their own, so they'll stay there. And, you know, sometimes they'll give them a tour and say, this is our pantry, you know, and you're like, thanks. But of course that buyer is going to say, it is beautiful, you know, we love it. And so that's setting the expectation for the seller that, oh my God, these people are gonna bring an offer, and then they never hear from them.
Right.
Well, I'm never gonna go into someone's house and say, I just don't like this, I'm sorry. You know, because it's offensive. So if you have an agent though, like I'll submit feedback that says it just wasn't anything my clients were looking for, you know, the bedrooms were too small, they hated this, whatever.
Would you give the other agent, the listing agent, a heads up that that happened in the past? Like, if we decide to write an offer, should I let her know?
I don't think going into it I would.
Okay.
I would just, because sometimes the listing agent presents the offer and like they don't say, the buyer's names are Josephine
Right.
so-and-so, you know, like they might
Right.
not even, and the seller can't terminate, so. I don't think I would go into it, but if for some reason the agent ends up being strange with you,
Right,
or you don't hear back from the agent or something, you could,
right,
you know, you could first call the broker, and if not, then she'll most likely not even think anything of it.
okay.
You know, unless they gave her like, make sure if anyone submits an offer with these names that you don't
Right.
respond, you know,
Yeah.
whatever.
Because I said to her, I said, you know, how would you feel if you don't put an offer in and it sells?
Right,
That's simple as that, so.
yeah, and what they say.
She's like, I'm not really sure, because I think her husband might be more upset than she is, because I think she's a little more emotionally attached to the house. Because she keeps talking about fixing things, you know, nothing major, doesn't need a lot of work, it's been sitting empty.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, they're concerned with some things during inspection, which is, you know, understood, but she's already living in the house. We could do this, we could do this, we
Yeah.
could do here, so I know she wants it.
Yeah,
It's just
I
a
would
matter
just,
of-
I would put things into perspective by giving them an estimate and saying, you know, do you know what their comfort zone is for payment? and
I
total
do,
cost?
yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I would
it's,
just-
it's, the price of the home is a little higher than their comfort zone. I think it's priced a little higher than it should be, and I think the
Sure.
lady got a taste for like people wanting it.
Sure.
So I said to her, we don't have to offer that, you know.
Yeah, well, and
Right.
I always tell my clients, you're never going to overpay for a house because
Right.
you're getting a mortgage, if you're getting a mortgage, of course.
Right,
Because it has to appraise. Like, the bank is not going to lend you $360,000 for a house at 10% down on a $400,000 house if the value of the house is only $380,000. They're only going to give you 80%, $380,000. So it has to appraise. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there. If we need to submit a full price offer, even knowing that it's overpriced, or it may be overpriced,
Mhm.
in order to secure the house in a multiple offer situation, or in order to secure the house before more offers come along, like I say that constantly. Like, if you're interested in this house, we need to get an offer in while there's no other offers, because as soon as there's another offer, we're automatically paying full price if you want the house.
Right.
You know, we have an opportunity to potentially get it for lower than that while there's no other offers. So, you know, the people that want to sleep on it, or they need to think about it, or. And then, you know, if it's a situation where I feel the need to, I will say, you know, we do have a 14-day or 10-day, whatever it is. I put 14 on my contracts for the inspections. We do have that period, so, you know, if for some reason you end up changing your mind, like, we need to get this house and secure this house. Of course, if you have reservations that you just might not like the house, we shouldn't move forward. But, you know, if you're pretty certain you love it, but you just need your parents to see it, and your parents aren't involved in the buying decision, you just want them to like it too, then, you know, we should probably move forward and submit an offer before someone else does. With, you know, letting them know that they're not, the buyer can terminate. And I don't typically advertise that, but if I feel the need to, because I think it will help them move along, and I don't actually think they would terminate, I will offer that.
Good. Other questions we have for Leana? Comments? So, does everybody see confidence and knowledge is how the job gets done? Good.
I have a comment.
Sure.
She gave me confidence because I'm not really an outgoing person, and most of agents are like really outgoing. She's more calm, so am I.
Yeah, I'm not a big talker. I would prefer to not be bothered.
So she gave me confidence in myself that, you know, you can do it, because like I was scared because I wasn't, like I said, I'm not outgoing, so maybe people wouldn't take me as serious. I don't know, but yeah, thank you.
Sure, absolutely. No, yeah, I mean, I think it's a preference thing. Like, some people,
Like, you put me at ease.
it's always different personalities, like, and I always try to mirror and match every personality.
Right.
So, I'm very fast-paced. So if I feel like I'm being too fast-paced for someone, or talking too fast-paced for someone, I'll have to, like, be conscious of slowing down. And then, you know, you have the people that are the talkers, and in that case, I will have to talk more than I like to. But yeah, I mean, it's not about being outgoing. I think it's more about being soothing and letting them be comfortable and not pushy. Because some of the outgoing agents are more pushy and salesy,
Right.
which, you know, it's like the car salesman that people think of.
I
And I
like to
always
think of them as excitable.
And I will tell my clients, you know, like, I'm extremely laid back, like, I'm here to help you find a house you love within the time frame that meets your needs, that's it. I will never push you to write it, you know, to buy a house, but I will give you the facts. If you love a house and the house is going to sell tonight, then I will give you the facts and say, we need to get an offer in tonight. I'm not pushing you to do it, I'm saying, if you love the house and you don't want to lose it, this is what we need to do.
Leana, what was that one thing you said, and it was really good in Exton, when you said, you know, my job is to show you the houses you can afford, your job is just to fall in love to the house.
Yeah, you know, it goes back to focusing on everything that I'm sending them, I know is within their comfort zone. So it's my job to send them those homes that are within their comfort zone, and all they have to do is walk in and decide, do I love this or do I not?
Doesn't that really take a lot of pressure off people? Like, if they're thinking, oh my God, can we afford this, can we afford this? Because I would be saying that, you know, to my husband,
of
do you think we
course.
can afford that? I mean, you know, so by giving them permission to relax.
And it gets them excited, because if I send them a listing that I know they'll love, first of all, I get probably even more excited because I get so excited to write offers. But if I send them a listing that I know they'll love, and I said, you know, their comfort zone is $1,300 to $1,600, and I say your payment's, you know, $1,520, your payment would be about $1,520, and I'll get very specific. Like, sometimes the lender will send me an estimate, and the homeowner's insurance will be $100 or $75, and I know for a fact that my insurance guy is going to come in at $35 a month. I'll send it to him to get an actual estimate if I think they're going to buy the house. Like, if it comes up and I'm like, this is the one for them, they're gonna love it, they're gonna buy it, I'll have him send me a quote for it before I even send them the property. That way I have the actual homeowner insurance amount. Because if the lender's estimate says $100 a month for hazard insurance and it's actually 35, that's what?
70s time.
65 less in payment.
Zoning out.
So,
Our county's really let us down.
so I will say, you know, this is what your payment would be, about this amount. And it gets them excited because they're like, oh my gosh, like, I really think we're gonna love this house. And so they go into the house being excited and they're immediately ready to write an offer. Oh my, this is the one. What do we do? Like, my clients literally say, what do we do? Like, okay. And I'll say, all right, great. So, you know, I'll write up an offer at full price. I just say that, you know. Like, they know going into it that it's a brand new listing, it's priced right. They can't try to negotiate the price. Now, if it's overpriced and there's no other offers, I will certainly suggest that I always do what's in their best interest. But, you know, in this market especially, it's not about playing games and tit for tat and trying to get the price down $5,000, because $5,000 in the big scheme of things is going to be $20 a month.
A pizza.
I just want to point something out too, in listening to you and in working with new agents and working with buyers myself. Everything that we've talked about this morning is before the agreement of sale is even written. So everything that she does is all the value that she brings. So many agents unlock the door, flip the lights on, and that's basically pretty much it until they're like, oh, you want me to write an offer? Okay, fine. So there's that on one side, and then there's this on the other side. It is so black and white difference than what most buyer agents are bringing to the table. And the value is so, it so surpasses what other agents do, that you get worried about, should I get a buyer's agency signed? With what the value that she's bringing, absolutely. I mean, there's no question. If you're the agent that's unlocking the door and turning the lights on and then you're like, okay, I'm done, well, then that's why you don't want to do the buyer agency, because you're not bringing that value. You're not doing your job to the ability that needs to be done. That's why you do the buyer agency, because that's what you should be bringing to the table. And that's unusual. In my 10 years, that's unusual. So I just want them to understand that this is truly doing the job. Unlocking the door and turning the light on is not doing the job. So that's what you aspire to.
Yeah, and you know, if you're doing all of these things, that when that lead phone call comes in, it's so easy to set the appointment because you're just naturally confident that you know, like I know that if they're in the door, they're signing the buyer agency contract. I know that. I know that, you know, like right now I just hired an ISA, so she's setting appointments for us and I'm constant, so this is new to her, I'm teaching her kind of setting appointments also. And I constantly am reminding her that, remember, going into the phone call, don't tell yourself, I need to set this appointment. Tell yourself, I need to add value and I need to see how I can help these people. Because it's just a person, it's another human being. And sometimes, you know, in the beginning when I first started setting appointments, I would get so nervous to make a phone call. I mean, I didn't even pick up the phone for 2 months. I sent emails. My job was an ISA to set appointments, and I didn't even pick up the phone. I just sent emails because I was so scared. And then finally I got on the phone, I started talking, and I failed my way forward the whole way because, of course, I messed up 100 phone calls. But you have to do it in order to get there. So it's okay to have someone on the phone and freeze and not necessarily know what to say, and that person is in the cracks. Because you'll have another lead to talk to, and, you know, that's the way you're going to learn. Because if you don't make the mistake, you're not going to realize, oh crap, like, if you come to an objection that you don't know the handler for, if you don't come to that objection, you're never going to learn the handler for it, because you're never gonna have to search for it. So you have to, you know, let some leads go in order to do it, but the point is, if you know the value that you're providing them to come in, like I truly believe when I'm setting the appointment that it is in the client's best interest to come in and meet with me so that I could start sending them listings, because if I'm a home buyer, I certainly don't want to be on Zillow and Trulia every night calling agents and then my phone blowing up to them say, oh, that house sold 2 years ago, or it says active but it's already under contract. Like, I don't want to spend my time doing that. I want to get to the nitty gritty, and I certainly want to be the first in the door. And I want someone to just send me all these listings without my phone blowing up, and I want one person that I can contact and say, hey, I want to see this house, or hey, I have a question about this house. And I tell my clients all the time, never feel like you're bothering me. This is my job. If you have a question about a house, or if you see a house online that I didn't send you, please send it to me, because one, I want to make sure that there's going to be a reason why it didn't come up in your search. So, you know, maybe you told me it has to have air conditioning and this house doesn't have air conditioning. But it could be a mistake on my end, so I want to make sure I fix it right away. So please send me anything, like, and I will say, most likely it'll be under contract or it's, you know, already sold. But never feel like you're bothering me. This is my job. Because we get clients all the time that say, like, I really want to see this house, but I just feel bad. This is what I get paid to do. Like, this is my job. You work 9 to 5 and you're paid hourly. This is what I get paid to do, so don't ever feel bad.
Do you ever show two different clients the same house, or them like the same house, and what do you do? How do you handle that?
So I have not, personally, another agent on my team has. And this, what I told her, because she asked me what I should do, or what she should do, ultimately it comes down to who's willing to pay more for the house. Who is willing to write the stronger offer. And if you have a client that's writing another offer, it's the same thing as if they were working with another agent. It doesn't matter that you're the agent representing both of them. You're not representing the seller, it's still not dual agency. So just let each of them know, you know, there is another offer on the table, so we need to give it our best shot. Chances are one of them will have a stronger offer. You know, one of them will be willing to pay more or off, you know, ask for less seller assist or go higher in an escalation clause or have stronger financing, whatever it may be. So take yourself out of it and just think of it as it's two different buyers. And they're competing against each other because you never know. Now, the difficult part is that you know what both the offers are. So you kind of know going into it, but your client doesn't know that. So, you know, you're just telling them. And I tell my clients is for every house you pay as much as you're willing to, because they'll ask, what should we offer? You know, especially in multiple offer situations when we're talking about going over full price, I simply say, one, know that you're not going to overpay for this house because we're not waiving the appraisal unless you want to. You know, I give them that option. You can certainly waive the appraisal, and that means that, you know, in the case that it doesn't appraise, you're paying the difference in cash. Most clients don't have that leisure to do that. But pay as much as you're willing to pay. Offer as much as you're willing to pay, in that if another buyer offers $100, $1,000 more, you won't have any regrets because you weren't willing to go that high. And that's what they do, because then everything I do is always protecting myself as well. It's in my client's best interest, but I'm always protecting myself because I don't ever want them to come back to me and say,